Okay, welcome back to another artist series, and I am super excited. Today we have a motivational speaker, an author, a professional athlete. Please help me welcome Ralph Sampson III. How, Ralph?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, thank you for being here.
Of course, of course.
Okay, so I want you to take me all the way back and tell me what are some of those earliest memories you have of basketball?
Mm, okay, you're gonna stretch my memory here a little bit. Um, so the earliest memories I have is like actually when I very first started playing basketball. My first organized game was in the second grade, and ironically enough, it comes full circle, but it was a YMCA league, and they put me on the team. Didn't really know anybody, but um, during the course of the season, I remember the showing up on game days, family and friends in the, you know, and I want to say stands, but they weren't stands. They just sat around the, sidelines and baselines. Um, but being part of the team, being part of the surroundings, it meant something. It felt um, the first real taste of, being with all eyes on you, where you're doing something, performing. And at that age, can't forget the snacks and drinks after the games. And so it was early memories were like playing in those games, practices, and then you know, for me it was a little different because I think I was on a slightly better team, I would say, and so we ended up going undefeated that first season, and so it was really fun.
Wow, that's amazing. And you can't forget the snacks, like you said. So,
Absolutely.
today in the media, we see Dion and his sons and LeBron and his sons, following in their father's, footsteps. So would you say having a legendary father that you ever felt any pressure?
Um, it's hard not to feel like that initial kind of desire to want to be or emulate your father. Something my father did, I think, a very good job of is making my journey my own. And so he used to tell me is that I'm the captain of my ship. I'm the one making the decisions, and he always told me that pressure doesn't come from the outside; it comes from within. And so let people talk, let people say what they want to say, but it was always been, um, you know, you only thing you have to perform to or live up to is your standard. So if you want to be better, you live up to that standard, and that's the pressure you put on yourself. The outside noise, let it be outside noise.
Yeah, that's wonderful advice. I feel like that happens in so many different fields. Like we feel this immense pressure, but when we take a step back, it's actually the pressure we put on ourselves to perform. So I love that. So you went to the University of Minnesota, had quite an impressive career there. So tell me, what was that process like going there? How did you decide on that school? What happened?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually had offers from all over, all over the country. I think the top schools were like Minnesota, Kentucky, Clemson, um, Georgia Tech, Georgia, I think was in there as well. Um, whole everybody, but what ultimately made me go to Minnesota was that my ultimate goal was to play professional, and so um, before I went to school, I went to college. There, they were still trying to play with the rule as far as like, can you leave after high school or should you go 1 year removed from high school? And so like literally like my junior year of high school, they're like, nope, you got to go at least 1 year away from high school. So I was like, okay, now let me start to look at colleges seriously. And so with the main goal in mind of I want to play professionally, Minnesota had seniors graduating my position. So there was nobody in front of me. And so I could get a lot of valuable playing time and experience right away. And then it was Coach Tubby Smith was the coach there. And so he was rebuilding the program, and I wanted to be part of something special. I realized what my dad had at UVA. And so the family aspect of the coaching staff and the players and how the community has really embraced him, I wanted something like that for myself. And so ultimately what made me choose Minnesota was those factors of accomplishing my goal of trying to play professionally, but also being part of building something great. And to answer the second part of your question, it was like I think the ultimate, like, the cherry on top of my entire college career was the fact that um, made us, just a little bit of history over there, where I was able to amass over 1,000 points, over 600 rebounds, I think over 200 blocks, and there were only two people to ever do that before me, which was Kevin McHale and Michael Thompson, which is not bad company to be a part of.
Wow, that's amazing. So 1,000 points. What does the hard work look like leading to, breaking those types of records and being that type of athlete?
It's it's a great question, actually. There's no easy way to put this, or no kind of right way to put this. It's really um, kind of leads back to that advice my dad gave me about living up to your own standard. And so I wanted to be good. I wanted to be, I knew I had a lot to grow on, and I wanted to be better. And so there's no substitute for hard work. There's no shortcuts. And so I spent a lot of time in the gym. I would, even after some home games, I would, instead of, like, everybody showers and leaves and goes back to the dorms or goes get something to eat, I actually, a couple times, I would just change back into my practice clothes, go back on the court and get more shots up. Or if I didn't like the way I played from a certain spot, I would go back out there and work on that spot, or that jump shot or free throws, whatever it was. Um, I knew that I had a goal. And so one of the things that I've discovered now outside of playing, I've been removed a little bit, is that, everybody, there's a difference between discipline and motivation. And so a lot of people actually have good discipline because they will show up every day. The problem is a lot of people don't have that motivation, because when that motivation kicks in, you're willing to push yourself a little bit more than the average person would. You're willing to put, if you're in the weight room, you're willing to put the extra 5 pounds on just to kind of push yourself. You're willing to put that, run the extra laps in practice, or get the extra shots up. And so the person who excels is the person who can stay motivated the longest, because that's going to ultimately make them work harder. And so I think that I figured that out earlier. I just never be able to put into words.
That's amazing. Talking about the difference between discipline and motivation. Like everyone shows up, but not everyone is putting that same effort for it. So, how would you say social media plays a role into like the athlete today and hard work and motivation?
It's Social media is a very interesting place. um, and I say that because it has become such a big part of the game now in the sports world, athletes in general. The whole NIL deal kind of changed the landscape of college sports kind of forever. And in that way, sports and athletes are categorized as entertainment. And so the bigger your platform is, the bigger your audience is, when people want to watch you, then the more marketable you can become. And so, so now you see the social media game has to be, has to be the epitome of everything. Showcase who you are, showcase what you're doing. Because nowadays, if people live by, if there's not a picture or not a video of it, then it didn't happen. And so that's why social media now can be used as a tool for the athletes. But at the same time, a lot of people have to watch what they put out there. Not everybody does. And then you should watch what you put out there, because everybody's looking, everybody's watching, everybody's looking to, everyone's looking for attention. Attention now is the currency of the world. And so people can use that to advantage, disadvantage. Social media now is a, I used to call it necessary evil in a way, because athletes now are a lot more accessible now, especially through social media, and where before they were not. And so you have to, exert a lot of effort to contact an athlete. Nowadays, you can go on your phone and pop in a DM, and it's like, or a comment on someone's picture or video, whatever, and have access to them. So it's a, like I said, necessary evil at this point.
Yeah, it's so true. I'm no athlete. I got cut from the eighth grade basketball team, but that's like my favorite thing to do now. You can watch the athletes, their day in the life as a D1 athlete. You see the brand deals that they're getting. You're seeing their highlight reels. So it's really, you're building a relationship with these people.
No, absolutely. It's that's what builds the platform. It's like if they feel like they know the story, they know the behind the scenes, and that's what actually makes people like kind of might root for somebody else over somebody different. And so that's why I said necessary evil. If you build your platform correctly, then you can build some momentum heading your direction.
Yeah, that's very true. So tell me a little bit about your experience playing professionally.
Um, there's a lot to know there. um, Professionally was a very interesting time in my life. When I first came out of college, I actually had dislocated my right knee. Right knee, yeah, right kneecap. And so I had to miss like all my pro workouts, so I didn't get drafted, which was a huge letdown for me because, of course, that's my dream. Um, but I ended up going to what's now called the G League, D League when I played, and I was the only rookie that actually made it through training camp and made the final roster. But didn't really still have playing time, and so had to learn at that point. Like you go from being, it's funny because you go from high school from being a big fish, small pond in high school to being the small fry again. You go to college to growing to another big fish, and now you're back down to being small fish at professional level. And then, but these guys are now, making, millions of dollars. So it's definitely a bit of a difference. Um, and so I had to learn, how to be a teammate, learn how to try to find out how to be a leader against people who are, uh, well established already. And then spent some time overseas as well. And so got to explore the world. So maybe a little ironic, but I am growing up, I was a naturally shy and quiet kid, complete 100% introvert vibes, and was scared to death to talk to anybody. And then I think not until I fully went overseas, and I finally discovered like, hey, this isn't home, and I could either spend my entire time over here in my apartment, or I can get out and kind of explore a little more. And I decided to get out and explore the world around me. Walk into random restaurants, walk into random fast food places. Some places could speak English, some people couldn't. And so it was sometimes a charades game. The height difference between the United States and overseas is kind of big. And so, my head was touching the rooftops or the ceilings of some places. And so if I walked into a place and I needed something, I'd be like, and I would walk almost behind the bar and be like, I want that one over there. But it was a good time because I learned how to open up. I learned how to kind of rely on myself. I learned how to kind of just embrace life a little more. So when I came back to the States, I started doing the same thing, but explore my world here at home. And then being a professional, like the community kind of surrounds you, it lifts you up. I came back from playing overseas to playing up in Maine, and the Maine community really just embraced me. Love Maine forever for that. They gave me almost like the college treatment where you walk down the street and they would call your name or take pictures or autographs and all of that fun stuff. And from there, everything kind of came crashing down because right before I'm slated to, go to the Celtics, and then right before that happens, tear my ACL, tear meniscus, fracture my tibia all at the same time. And so pretty much I was living my dream, but then everything bottom falls out. And now it's like, now what? And so I had to, everything I had been working on to that point, being professional, trying to accomplish a dream. Now it's like, okay, well, who am I now? What do I do? What can I even, basketball have been my identity for all these years now. What's next? And so it took a lot of time reflecting, soul searching, personal development journey, which actually allowed me to start to develop all of this motivational speaking and really just the whole inspiration as well.
Wow, that's amazing. What would you say kept you resilient through that journey? And what advice would you have for a young person who's trying to, navigate a career in basketball?
Absolutely. So, um, the persistent part of it is a huge is a huge one. Um, it's funny because one of the questions I was asked when I was a senior in college, and I was leaving college, they asked me like, "What was the one? If you got to sum up everything in one word, what word would I use?" And I actually said persistent, persistence, and it's because along the course of an athlete's journey, you're going to see a lot of highs and a lot of lows. You're going to see some yeses, but you're going to see some nos as well. And even like yourself, you might get cut from the eighth grade team, but you could said still find a way if that's where your heart is to get whatever you need to do done. I played with and against players who picked up a basketball their junior year of high school for the first time, and then played varsity, worked hard to make varsity, then walked on to a college team, and then decided to play afterwards, tried to play professionally afterwards. Um, I knew or know a guy who went Division two and had aspirations to play professionally. He worked extremely hard. He was actually in my training camp my rookie season. Later, then became a big social media star influencer, um, and then kept working and actually got a chance to go play professionally over in Australia. And so there's persistence is key. Like you got to have um, a sense of confidence about yourself that is unshakable. And it's almost to the point of I would already say being delusional about it. Like you really have to have some faith in yourself and believe in yourself. And for me, that stemmed from my beginning, my origin, which is my faith. And my grandmother instilled that in my mom instilled it in us, and I'm carrying it forward. That's kind of what keeps you on the path. Like there's a promise that you believe at the end, or somewhere along the way that you're trying to achieve. So every step you take is in line with that promise. And so, yeah, persistence is definitely key. Discipline is key. Motivation, all of it wrapped up in a nice, pretty package. That's what you need to kind of excel. And what I would say to a young athlete, I do work with athletes now, training them on the court in skill development, but also I do mindset development as well. And so, one of the main things that I would tell young athletes is that you got to know the difference between what is really working hard. A lot of kids I see now, like, oh yeah, I work hard, and then I put them to a workout and they can't make it like the first 15, 20 minutes. And so it's like, or you see, okay, you're working hard, or you see you're working hard, but then you spend more time, let's say, playing video games or watching movies or binge watching Netflix instead of working on your craft. And so there's a difference between saying it and doing it. And if you want to, for young athletes, really want to do that, I would say that the only difference between me and them is time and experience. It's the only difference. I've failed more times than most, like I said, young kids have tried. And then I spent more time in my craft than they have. But they can easily get to where I am or even past where I got to if they spend more time in the craft with more experience. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's actually part of success. It's how you have to fail enough times to be successful. And then along that journey, you have to realize that the journey is key without skipping steps, because along that journey, you actually change into the person who can achieve that goal rather than just seeing the final goal and like, oh yeah, I want to be that. And so I think it's more than one thing I would tell you the youth, but it's those are the things that I would really kind of convey to the youth right now.
Wow, that's great. And I think, the mindset piece is so important because, what we believe, we do. And I always say, I'm a musician, I sing and play the piano, but I always say, like, I wish musicians had like the self talk of an athlete because when you listen to an athlete after a game, they're very clearly able to assess what happened, what's not going to happen the next time, and then go back into the gym and do it all again, without that fear of it going wrong. So the mindset part is just so important. And you've been dropping some gems. So let's go into how did this motivational speaking career start? You kind of talked about being overseas and being forced out of your shell, but how did it develop over time?
Yeah, so actually it's another kind of a long story, but I started a company called Legacy Sports Academy back in I think 2015, and back when I was still playing. And I started because I saw how the professional athletes would go back to these communities, run basketball camps or clinics, and they would maybe show up for like an hour or 2 hours and then leave, and then they wouldn't see them again until like the following year. And I was like, I looked at it like that's not right. Like I wanted to be like that bridge between professionalism and amateurism. And it's like, okay, you say you want to get to this level. Let me show you the ins and outs. Let me use my experience to help the next generation. Um, and so then like that started to snowball a little bit and start to build. And as a young entrepreneur does, they get frustrated with the business. They put it down, they throw it away, they pick it back up, take parts out, put new parts in. That part will work, and then this part stops working. You got to take that out, put it back in. And so then it got to the point where I started to really connect with people, with my athletes that I was working out with and training. And if they would come to me with questions, or sometimes it's almost like you go to like a barber shop or go to a salon, it's like, okay, you're venting, you're talking, you're expressing yourself. And it turned out like that's what people kind of started to come from me to or for. And so then I ended up really start to like think through my process. Okay, how did I get here? And like, what is my purpose and passion? And so it's really turned out to be like basketball. I love basketball, but really it's helping people. And so helping, if I can be the biggest cheerleader for somebody, figuratively and literally, then I can help someone else achieve their goal. And so now it's like I really want to like get behind somebody and then help push them to their goal. A lot of people I found really just need somebody to believe in them. Really someone to tell. Sometimes it's just like, I'm proud of you. And sometimes it's like, no, you can do this. Sometimes you just need a little helping hand. And so for me, it's like I want to be that, because there were times in my career, times in growing up where I needed that. And so I really wanted to be that for somebody else. That for be the person that I needed when I was younger, so I can be that for somebody else. And so then from there, it got to the point where it's like I was asked to do to speak to some kids, and ended up loving it. And so then from there, I guess that snowballed into me going to schools and starting to speak to some schools, speak to some events as well. And me and my dad actually have we'll collaborate some, and we'll go speak together sometimes. And it's been fun. It actually gives me the same. My knees don't allow me to play basketball like I want to, but going to school gives me that same kind of rush that I used to get when I was playing.
That's amazing. It's so important because I think sometimes people think, oh, if I want to help people, I have to go make up something, to do to help people. But it's that thing that we already do naturally. Like you had sports and that was your vehicle to help people. And you watch TV, and I love what you said because you see the athletes and they come back to their community. And I've never thought about what happens next. Like, what does the athlete that goes to the camp, what do they do next when that person's no longer there? So being able to have that sustained relationship. So, tell me about being sports director at the Y.
Um, Being a sports director Y has given me a venue, a vehicle to really help the community of Charlottesville, really the Valley in general. It allows me to help the community through volunteers, help the community through putting in the sports programs to really implement some of those, or usually facilitate, I should say, facilitate the lessons learned through sports. How do you react when things are going well? How do you react when things are going well? What happens when you put all this work in, but then you still don't get the results you want or the result you're looking for? Or what happens when you put the work in and it works? And so then the importance of like team camaraderie and listening to your coach and being respectful, sportsmanship, all these lessons are boiled into or baked into a whole season, and we run seasons almost year round at the Y. And so allow me at the Y now, I mean, sports work allows me to help facilitate those lessons, but also helps me to be able to talk to kids, being talk to parents, being able to talk to the community, really get myself involved here in Charlottesville too.
The work is so important. So you're an author, you're a motivational speaker, you're mentoring the next generation of athletes. So what's next?
That is a great question. I need to start taking notes from you. And
Oh,
my sister has been trying to get me to like do more of do more videos, put myself out there more. Again, that natural introvert is still still present sometimes, and so it's like push me out there. Um, I am, just as you said, um, finishing writing my book, and it's actually about motivation. Dive way deep into how you build motivation, how you keep it going. Most people believe that motivation is something that's fleeting, and sometimes, especially on social media, you say, "Oh, we just need discipline." Well, that's not necessarily true. You need discipline and motivation so you can push yourself to new levels. Um, what's the difference between people who like say going to an office work every day? You can be in office for a year and not just show up and collect a paycheck, or you can really get in there, push yourself, take on more responsibility, and you get promoted in 6 months versus the person who's been here a year and they're just kind of coasting. Same philosophy. So the book is really not just for athletes, for everyone. Really trying to get the people to notice, the people you hang around helps determine your motivation or will help drain it. What are the obstacles in the way with it, and understanding that there is a world out here, which I call the wildfire, that will consume your motivation. And if your motivation is strong enough, just like a wildfire will consume everything, it will take up all the fuel for your fire. And so, really, for me, what's next? Which I guess get myself out there a little bit more, finish writing the book, publish that one, and have an app that's coming out as well that kind of try to house everything. I have a lot of projects going on at one time. It's a gift and curse, really, because my mind never shuts off. But yeah, I think that's what I have coming next.
that's amazing. I need to get that book so I can feel motivated. So you've done so much. What would you say you would want your legacy to be?
Another great question. You got some good questions.
Thank you. I worked hard on them.
My legacy. So my grandfather actually passed away a couple of years ago, and growing up, he had always been just granddad. He came home from work, took us out to lunch at our favorite lunch places. We used to steal his hat, run around, and he would chase us. He used to paint, he used to draw. He loved to sing, and that was granddad. Um, but when he passed, and going to his funeral, like I didn't realize just how many lives and that the impact he had in the community. It was literally like standing room, not even standing room only, like inside of his funeral. And it was amazing to hear the stories that people would tell about him, like how he was like a father figure to so many people in the community. Back then the community looked out for each other. So if you did something down the road and somebody caught you, then you're getting told off. Because everybody looked out for everybody. And so he would keep people out of trouble, drop wisdom, knowledge on them, the whole thing. And when I saw that, I asked myself that exact same question: what do I want my legacy to be? What do I want people to remember me for? And it's really the impact that I have on people's lives. Like I want people to remember me like by the positive impact, like how I pushed people, how I helped them achieve their goal, how when they needed a shoulder to cry on or ear to listen to, or they said they want to achieve something but didn't see a way how, and I helped them figure it out. I want people to, at the end of everything, I want people to remember me by the heart that I had, the hard work that I was willing to dive into, and really just caring for people, like genuinely caring for people. There's a lot of things out there that aren't necessarily like the truth behind people's actions. But a lot of times, like when I work with people and I have conversations with them about the mindset development part piece of it all, is like, no, I'm telling you this because I've already been there, I've already done it. I don't get any, I'm not looking for any benefit from it. I'm really solely just behind here to push you so you can go and experience it. Um, because I know that once you experience it, you will also do the same thing and then I'll push it forward. Um, Now that you said that, it's funny because we just started at my business. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but um, it's a design we're pushing forward called Remember Me, and it's actually meant and geared towards like how do you want to be remembered. And so whether it's the athlete that's trying to stand out in front of scouts, you want them to remember you. How? By the work you've done to prepare for that moment. For the musician, for the same reason, I want people to remember you by your music, by your heart that you put in, the emotion you put into your work and your craft. Um, by remember me by the community that I'm into and I'm trying to impact, I'm trying to build up. Um, it's remember me by, I'm going to do something in my life that is important, and it should be remember me for the work that I've done and the heart that I have, and for the amount of care that I'm showing people.
Yeah, those are all wonderful things to be remembered for. And I think it's just so important that people help people for genuine reasons and not because they have a motive or what can they get out of it or what's the return on the investment. So we need more genuinely kind, caring people. So
I
now
absolutely.
I have some rapid questions.
Okay, let's see what you got.
Top five basketball players of all time.
Mm. See, this is always the question. This is always the question. Okay, so I like to go by impact on the game,
Okay.
and so um, I know that I'm gonna probably catch a lot of flack for top five. In no random in no sequential order here, but I'm going to go. Um, of course, dad first.
Yes, of course.
Dad first. I say him because he was the first real big man who had guard like skills who could shoot from the outside. And if you look at the game of basketball today, that is almost all you see. So he was like the real prototype for all of that. And so he's really kind of changing the game. He changed the game in that aspect. Um, in the same sentence, you have Michael Jordan. When he was doing his thing, playing wise, uh, everybody wanted to be like Mike. And so he changed the game from, the Magic Bird era to Michael Jordan era. And that was, everybody wanted to be him. From there, I have to go with, I go Kobe, because it's in the same sense, in the same vein as Jordan, had kids, especially my era growing up. You shoot a ball of trash into the trash can, you're yelling Kobe. This was what you did. um, so he really changed. He like was in the same vein as Michael Jordan, but really kind of implemented his own, put his own stamp, his own name on it, and he embodied that impact as well. From there, I'm going to go with that was three, Steph Curry, in the sense that he changed the game as well. Uh, Nobody was really shooting threes from that distance until he came to the game, and now everybody's trying to shoot threes from that distance. Um, and so then, with the amount of his discipline, his handles, like I said, he wasn't the tallest, he wasn't the strongest, but again, his hard work and his dedication to it really set him apart, and that's what helped him, like I said, become an impact player. From there, five.
One more. Who
There's,
is it?
there's a lot of people that you can put this five spot. Um, you can put Dr. J there. You can put Shaq there. Uh, you just to kind of just to save face a little bit. I'm gonna put LeBron there just to save face. I say that because his longevity in the game, he's been so dominant for so long. He has the accolades to go with it. He has respect from all the players. I mean, it's crazy how you can with play against somebody and then also play against their son at the same time. Is because you've been playing the game for so long. He's kind of the epitome of like learning how to take care of yourself, nutrition, working out, and dedicating yourself to the game. He embodies and encompasses all of that. So those are
Those,
my five.
that's a solid top five with great explanations. And I read somewhere, does LeBron spend like $1 million a year on his body to
He
stay in
is
shape?
something with it, yeah, yeah.
Okay, what is your go-to pre-game song?
That's another good question. It changes all the time. um, I think in high school, it used to be like T.I.'s Urban Legend album was definitely played for a lot of games. Um, we had also grew up in the crunk music era at the same time. And so a lot of those songs were definitely pregame songs. Um, I don't know if I could put like my finger on one song though that I would just like I would have to be there. Um,
Was
yeah,
there
I
a
don't know.
song that would really turn the locker room up?
Oh, you could in my area you could throw any of the crunk music songs and the whole locker would turn to a mosh pit for sure.
Okay, okay, I like it. Got the crump music, a little Ti. Okay, what about? I don't know if you listen to these bands, NSYNC or Backstreet Boys.
Um, you know what? I'm gonna go in sync on that one. Go in
Okay,
sync. And the funny thing about that one is my first CD ever that was gifted to me was actually an NSYNC album.
that's hilarious. Okay, what is your favorite thing to splurge on?
Experiences. And I say experiences like, trips, trying something new, heavy on food, trying a new restaurant. Um, I've discovered quite a few actually really good restaurants in Charlottesville that a lot of people don't necessarily even know or go to. And then I'll ask people, hey, have you been here? Have you been here? It's like, no, never heard of it. And where is that? And I was like, yep, this is the best burrito or Conrad asada burrito I've had in the state of Virginia. And so it's like those experiences are definitely we'll spend money on.
Okay, where's the best food place you've been in Charlottesville? Because I don't think I've had any good food there.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your favorite food?
I don't know. Okay, I'm going Mexican. Let's say Mexican.
Okay. Well, my opinion, best carne asada burrito is a place called LTO.
Okay,
It's near St. Anne's.
okay, okay. I'll
You
check it
gotta
out.
try
Okay. And before we go, where can the people keep up with you and all your future endeavors?
it. So they can quickest, easiest way, um, do it through social media on Instagram. It's Mr. Legacy, Mr. Dot Legacy, and then it's I. Um, obviously for the third. um, and yeah, I'll be posting a lot of motivational stuff. You can also follow D. Legacy Sports as well. That's a business page. Drop a lot of motivational stuff there. And also with that, like I will be doing more videos. Uh, Curtis, my little sister, she's pushing me for that one. And so yeah, that's be the most prevalent place you can keep up with me at.
Okay, there we have it. Ralph Sampson the third. Thank you, Ralph. I had a great time.
Thank you.